guys. Long time no see. I've been out enjoying myself this summer, living it up in nature and trying to just enjoy the new energy that I've been feeling. My surgery was definitely successful in helping me to have less symptoms with my thyroid and helping me to have more energy. So I've been doing some fun things this summer and been very busy. But you can see I have this book in my hand, and I thought I would do something a little bit different from Bible study and do a book review about one of the most powerful, life-changing books that I've ever read. And this is called The Hiding Place by Corrie. And it's more than just like one of my favorites. It's the kind of story that stays with you for life, challenges you, shapes you, and how you see your own life and faith and people around you. So I want to share a little bit about this book and try to convince you to read it. It's so good. So Corrie was a Dutch woman, and she wasn't always famous when her story began. She was a middle-aged watchmaker living a quiet life in Haarlem, Netherlands. So she was faithful to God, mostly, and not mostly. She was definitely faithful to God, her family, and her community. And when the shadow of the Nazi occupation fell across Europe, including Haarlem, in World War II, Corrie and her family found themselves at a crossroads. What they chose to do in that time, in quiet obedience to God, would change their life forever and ultimately impact generations like me to come. So I want to show you a picture now of some of Corrie's family, the main 10 booms of this book. Corrie had 2 sisters, a brother, a mom and dad, and lots of aunts that lived with them. But this picture that I'll show you now is Corrie on the left, Betsy, her sister, in the middle. That's who this book is about, Corrie and Betsy. And that's their dad, Casper, on the right, and their brother Willem in the back. So the 10 booms became part of the Dutch underground, kind of like we have the Underground Railroad. They had the Dutch underground during the war, during the World War II. And they were hiding Jewish refugees in their home and risking everything to do what they thought was right. So they didn't do it for praise or recognition or reward. They did it because of their unshakable belief in the value of every human life and their unwavering trust in God's sovereignty. So the title of this book, The Hiding Place, refers to a secret room in Corrie's bedroom where they were hiding the Jewish refugees, keeping them safe from the Nazis. But as you read, you come to realize that it points to something deeper, the true hiding place Corrie found in the presence of God. That refuge didn't disappear when danger came into her life, and it became even more real and dependable. So here's a picture now that you'll see of the hiding place in Corrie's bedroom. And they patched it all up to when the Gestapo came, they never could find it. They never could see it. They practiced, they hid these people in this wall. And it's thought that the 10 booms helped over 800 Jewish people during the Nazi occupation. So that is a lot of people. What follows then is a story that could have ended in despair, because they were imprisoned. There was loss, unimaginable daily suffering. And yet the hiding place is a story of light piercing the darkness over and over again. And it's a story of miraculous provision during her and her sister Betsy's time in the concentration camps. How God met them in the middle of hopelessness and gave them exactly what they needed moment by moment. And they were able to help others along the way too. It's a story of worship whispered in secret, prayers offered in pain, and the love that defied every logical boundary. So here's a picture of what it looked like for the women in the concentration camps of Ravensbrück, where Corrie and Betsy were. Just to let you know, there were 95,000 women killed in that camp, in the gas chambers. And Corrie was released in the end by a blunder of man, she says, and a miracle of God. It was a mistake that they let her out. And 1 week later, they killed all the women that were Corrie's age. So God got her out of there. There were 6 million Jewish victims in that war and 5 million non-Jewish victims in the war killed. So a lot of loss. So Corrie's barracks were made for 200 women, but as you can see, there were 700 women inside. They were all packed on top of each other. And there are parts of this story that will really make you ache, your heart ache, not just because of what they endured, but because of the strength and the hope that they carried through it. And what's so beautiful is that Corrie doesn't present herself as perfect or unshakable in this story. She's honest about her fear and her anger and her doubts. But she's always honest about how Jesus met her in those moments. Not with shame, but with grace and the deepest love. So here are some of the spiritual truths that I learned and I pulled out from this book. Number 1, God uses ordinary people to do extraordinary things. Corrie wasn't a missionary then. She did become a missionary, but she wasn't a missionary then, and she wasn't a preacher. She was a watchmaker's daughter, but yet she said yes to God. And that didn't come with illusions of grandeur. It came with simple, daily faithfulness. She poured out her life as an offering to the Lord, and He used her mightily. Number 2, God prepares us before the storm comes. Long before the war, Corrie's father taught her how to depend on God, how to pray, and how to trust His timing. He also taught them to love the Jewish people, God's chosen people. They were a family that prayed for Israel long before the war began. That early spiritual grounding became an anchor when everything around them was stripped away. Number 3, forgiveness is not easy, but it's possible. One of the most powerful moments in this story comes after the war, when Corrie's confronted by someone from her past, a guard who had caused great suffering to her and her sister in the concentration camp. He had just given his life to Jesus and was asking Corrie for her forgiveness. And in that moment, she realizes that she doesn't have the strength to forgive him. But then she remembers what her father taught her, that God does. He can give her the strength to forgive. So she prays in that moment, Jesus, I cannot forgive him. Give me your forgiveness. And as she reaches out her hand in obedience to shake his, God does a miracle and sent all the love and forgiveness that was needed between them. So that forgiveness stayed in Corrie's heart too. And that act of obedience became a turning point in her healing and a testimony to the world that we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. And with God, all things are possible. Number 4, God is present even in suffering. In the darkest days, Betsy and Corrie experienced the reality of God in ways that defy explanation. They saw real miracles in the concentration camp. Small ones, quiet ones, but mighty ones nonetheless, that reminded them that they were not forgotten and that God had them in the palm of his hand. Even lice, which they had cursed at first, became a strange blessing, keeping the guards away from their barracks, which allowed them to read their Bible every night and worship the Lord each and every day. Number 5, gratitude changes everything. In a concentration camp where death was a present daily threat and everything had been stripped away from them, Corrie and Betsy found reasons to give thanks. Their ability to recognize God's hand, even in the deepest suffering, was nothing short of miraculous. It shifted their perspective and gave them strength that suffering and hardship couldn't steal. He, the Lord, was their constant anchor, their firm foundation each and every day, moment by moment, new mercies they saw. And perhaps the deepest truth of all, the heartbeat of this book, and the truth that resonates with me the most, is something that Corrie said. This is my favorite quote, one of my favorite quotes ever. There is no pit so deep that God's love is not deeper still. I just love that. That line has comforted countless people over the years, including me, because it speaks to the heart of the gospel. It's not sugar-coated optimism. It's rugged, tested hope. The kind that's been through the fire and came out true. God's love has no boundary, no depth. It's deeper than any sin, trauma, suffering, or concentration camp. And underneath that love is his everlasting arms. So after the war, Corrie didn't disappear into the quiet life, licking her trauma wounds in a corner somewhere. Instead, she used her deepest wounds to become a ministry, just like her sister Betsy had imagined and saw visions of what they should do when they leave the camp. Corrie opened a rehabilitation home for people who were broken by trauma from the war, including both survivors and even former German enemies who were hurt by the hurt they inflicted. That was Betsy's heart, to be there for the Germans who were hurting people and how they would be hurting when it was all through. Betsy had the sweetest heart. Corrie began traveling the world after that, sharing her testimony about her time in camps and how God met them, reminding people that true healing and true peace can only be found in Jesus. She called herself a tramp for the Lord. That's not a word that we use today like that, but a tramp back then meant that was someone always on the move, always available for what God had next. She visited over 60 countries and did thousands of talks sharing the good news. And she did this till her dying day. She was 52 when she was imprisoned and 85 when she finally retired into the arms of Christ. Her life is a powerful reminder that no season is wasted when it's surrendered to God. So, if you've ever read The Hiding Place, if you've never read The Hiding Place, I can't recommend it enough. It is raw, it is honest, it's deeply moving. It's changed my life. And it might just reshape how you view obedience, suffering, and the call of Christ. Corrie's story challenges us to ask, am I available to God, even in the ordinary daily life, even if it's costly? Can I trust him in my deepest suffering, in my deepest pain? Because in the end, Corrie's life didn't hinge on her strength, her personality, or her plan. It was built on daily surrender to the one who is strong when we are weak. And that's the invitation that this book leaves with us. Corrie, God does not ask for perfection. He asks for obedience. And through that, he can change the world. And he did that through Corrie. So thank you for listening. I hope that you read The Hiding Place. You can get it on Audible and listen to it too. You could probably even listen to it on YouTube. It's not that big, and it is so worth it. So God bless you guys, and enjoy